God help me, it's been so long since I've heard that song, I forgot how much of a total badass Pete Dunne was. Welcome to this edition of The Game Changer, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed NXT Takeover Summerslam predictions. And it would not be a prediction show unless I had a very special guest on the show. She is indeed one of the members of the Valkyrie and more than likely going to be Mrs. Pete Dunne. I'm here by the lovely and very talented one and only Nikki Skywalker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciated that very much.
And I figured that as soon as you're on the show, it's like, oh god, I have to have Pete Dunne's theme music as like one of the opening deals because you're definitely one of those huge Pete Dunne fans, and almost to the point where it's so scary at some of the tweets that you have on there.
It probably is. It probably is.
But then again, I think everybody's still kind of nostalgic over Dean Ambrose coming back this past week, so...
Oh, absolutely.
There's definitely a lot of good stuff going on, and we actually just found out, guys, that next week on NXT, he will be defending his United Kingdom Championship against Zach Gibson. That is going to be really good, but it sucks because of the fact that the people at TakeOver are going to see it before we do.
It's going to be spoiled before we get to watch it.
Oh, gosh.
It's fine.
Honestly, I don't know if it's going to be spoiled as much as predictable, because is there any doubt that
we all know how that's going. Come on.
Yeah, he's the Bruiserweight, and he's one of the longest-reigning champions of this modern era right now. And I will definitely say that he is definitely more of a champion than Bork Laser is. I mean, let's face it. Can we do like a side-by-side deal of Pete Dunne and Brock Lesnar instead of CM Punk and Brock Lesnar? Let's put that up for a bit, because the fact of the matter is that guy knows how to defend the title, and he's done it off camera so many times. I'm sure
everywhere.
That it's at
Literally
least...
everywhere.
God, I can imagine that if this guy could probably do it like 365 times in a year, he probably would do it, and he would be the most relevant champion. But before we get into predictions, I thought it'd be really cool to get a chance to know Nikki Skywalker. Like I mentioned before, one of the members of the Valkyrie, probably one of the best female factions on Twitter today. So, first question that I have for you is, what got you so interested in professional wrestling, and what has kind of kept you hooked in on it? I know a lot of people have definitely mentioned before that they've kind of lost faith in it during a certain period of time, and then they kind of got back into it, but obviously there's something right now that's kept you kind of hooked in on it.
I mean, I think I actually started watching when I was in middle school. A couple of my friends were watching it, and I guess I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And one of the first wrestlers I ever saw was Chris Jericho, who is still my favorite of all time. Don't tell Pete Dunne that. And I guess I kind of fell off and on because when I was a kid, I didn't have cable, so I could only watch SmackDown. And as, what do you call it? As networks changed and stuff like that, and as, you're doing stupid kid stuff, you don't really get to keep up. So I fell off and on between then and now I'm like, I'm in too deep now. I don't think I can get back out now. It's entertaining to me. Like, if there's one thing that I look forward to during the week, it's probably watching wrestling, or any kind of sport, really, but wrestling really gets me.
Yeah, I actually remember also, when I was younger, I tried watching SmackDown so many times, I think I had it on, like, syndication, which means that you had to really look at it from, like, go, like, in either a different network because they aired it there, and I think it was, like, Fox or something like that. It was, like, on a Saturday night at midnight that I could watch SmackDown. So literally I had to program my VCR at the time, God, that tells you how old I am, to basically record SmackDown. And I think it was like the day after I would just pop it in and just watch SmackDown after that. And it was like, oh man, this is still really good. I still think that SmackDown is somehow the A show, but for a while it did turn into the B show. But as of right now, yeah, SmackDown's doing really good, and at least I don't have to worry about staying up until midnight to watch it. So
that's very true.
Thank God for that. So
now we're too old for that.
Oh yeah. So I will ask this: that you mentioned Chris Jericho. What are your thoughts on him working with Impact Wrestling and the possibility that he might be debuting in Impact Wrestling? A lot of people have definitely been hyping the fact that he's working with Impact Wrestling, so it's just inevitable he's going to debut for them. Thoughts on that?
I mean, that's pretty exciting for him. Unfortunately, I don't get the network for Impact, so I'm usually very far behind, if keeping up at all with them.
Oh.
I really liked what he did on New Japan. I really like him kind of unfiltered and uncensored. I know Impact gets away with a lot more as far as that stuff. But I'd like to see what he does. I really would.
Gosh, I just remember watching all the build-up between him and Naito, and I just thought, wow, this is absolutely insane. And then, to my shock, to him winning the New Japan IC title, which I do also say is his 10th IC title run. It's one of the best, though. I wanted him to win the IC title in WWE for a 10th time, but it's one of those things where it's like, he won his 10th IC title in New Japan, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
Please mention that in his Hall of Fame speech.
We'll see.
Yeah, I know. But also, I mentioned the fact that you're definitely high on Pete Dunne. What fascinates you about the Bruiserweights?
Other than the fact that I'm like madly in love with it. No, I'm kidding. I think that he's probably one of the most well-rounded wrestlers I've ever seen. He's incredibly entertaining, and I don't think I've ever seen him put on a match that I found to be either boring or not very good. If you see him live, the way that he interacts with the crowd that's there is like unbelievable. And if you have the chance to meet him outside of the ring, he is a wonderful man. Like, he's very nice, he's very welcoming. Like, the way I've seen him interact with kids, too, is like, oh my god.
I mean, let's face it, anybody that can beat up Enzo Amore the way he did is just...
Also, yes.
It is a hero to so many people. And you also had, like, a video, still pinned to your Twitter, of him taking a random fan's shoe and just beating up his opponent with that. And literally, I'm just watching this like...
Oh, yeah. That was great. That was, that's Queen of the Ring. She was sitting, I guess, diagonal across from me. And I'm so glad that I got that whole thing on video, because it was hysterical. He beat the hell out of a whole bunch of dudes with that shoe.
Oh, my gosh. Anytime I see that, it's again one of those situations where I could say, wrestling is weird, and I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There was, during that part of the show, too, people just started taking off their shoes and throwing them towards the front. Like, I think Tyler Bate took off his own shoe, and he was just beating people with it. It was wonderful.
Oh, my gosh. There's literally going to be a match at either Progress or WWE where it's just going to be a shoe match where everybody just brings an extra pair of shoes and just go, oh, gosh. That's going to be what happens during Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, guarantee it.
Maybe that's what we need to beat Brock Lesnar. Has anyone tried taking off their shoes?
Just one fan gets a lucky shot on Brock Lesnar right in the balls.
It might be you. Go for it.
Just some random shot, and then you just see him just go, oh! Roman spear, 1, 2, 3. Yes! We found his kryptonite! Do it again! Oh my gosh. We have fun here on the show. But alright. So I think we can now go right into the Summerslam and Takeover predictions, you guys. A lot of fun stuff that's going to be going on for at least half of the show. There's some parts where it's going to be, oh boy, why is this still a thing? But...
Why is this still a thing?
But honestly, anytime I say the name NXT TakeOver, it's always going to be absolutely amazing. And for this being NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, God, there's so much history with this event that it's just beautiful. And this will definitely be another event that will definitely be one of the best. And let's just go right into it. First, starting off with Velveteen Dream taking on Mr. EC3, Ethan Carter III. That's how I know him. That's how I will refer to him. God help. I want a WWE barbershop quartet for EC3, whether it's an entrance or whether it's just... that's one of his greatest accomplishments and one of his greatest highlights of his career and Impact. I want that to be a thing, hopefully, here. But we'll see.
You just might get it. It is Brooklyn TakeOver.
This is also very true. So I'll start with you, Nikki. Who have you got and why?
You know, in this one, I don't know who I've got. I'm probably leaning towards Velveteen Dream because I'm a very big fan of his. But I think that this match is going to be really intense. like the tension and all the stuff and all the promos they've shown thus far have been like really, really good. I'm not sure if I caught their bit that they did in the UK. I might have just fast forwarded through that whole thing to get to the main event.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with EC3. I really want Velveteen Dream to go over, but I also have to bear in mind that I do believe that this is one of EC3's first singles matches on a Takeover show. I know that he wasn't a part of the last Takeover Chicago, but he was in the crowd, so that was kind of one of those things where I'm like kind of bummed. Actually, I was about maybe like 10 rows behind him, because I was actually facing the area where you could actually see the screen straight in front of you, so got the chance to see a lot of awesome matches. And there were, I will say this, that the Chicago crowd, they still did the whole beach ball deal, but but when you do it during
so many beach balls in Brooklyn, I guarantee it.
When you do it at a Takeover, everybody is just pissed off at that person that decided to blow a beach ball. If it's during a Roman match, that's one thing, but during Takeover, it's one of those things where that's sacrilege, that's blasphemous to do that. So anybody who just grabbed a beach ball and just tore it up, they got a huge ovation. And I hated the fact that it was during the women's title matchup, because it's like, you're doing this during Nikki Cross versus Shayna Baszler. We've been looking forward to this, and it's Nikki Cross. God, just why? Just why? But
because wrestling fans.
Because wrestling fans are weird, I know. We have fun, but I think we have a little too much fun sometimes. And by that I do mean all the time. Next matchup on the card, we have the Undisputed Era. Your boys taking on Mustache Mountain. I know. And I'm really looking forward to when we talk about the North American Championship. We have the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong taking on Mustache Mountain and Tyler Bate and Trent Seven for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'm going with Undisputed Era on this one. I think that they did the tag team title change in the UK for the nostalgia factor and to basically promote the fact that they're doing a UK brand for NXT.
Yeah,
but I do believe that this is still going to be a good matchup, and if they do a title change in here, I will be okay with that.
It is. It's absolutely going to be a great match. I mean, the hell with Undisputed Era. Tyler Bate and Trent Seven also put on hell of a match. I don't see them going over Undisputed Era, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say that, because of the UK show that's coming up. I imagine they're going to have their own tag titles there. Maybe?
Man.
I mean, honestly, I would love for them to win them back. Like, seriously, I would love to watch Roderick Strong cry on live television, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, man. I mean, let's have, like, Roderick Strong do, like, a Ric Flair crying deal where it's, like, the night after he has to retire in WWE, and Roderick Strong is just bawling his eyes out. Honestly,
make me so happy. So happy.
If literally I see him do that, I'm just be like, well, Nikki, you did call it, and I'm hoping you're proud. And I could just see you saying, yes, I am proud I called this.
Or maybe I'll just show up and start beating Roderick Strong with my shoe. One of the two.
Oh, man. NXT TakeOver Shoe Edition. How about that?
I'm into it, and I'm here for it.
Alright, so now here's the matchup I know you're really looking forward to. That being Mr. Adam Cole defending his North American Championship against Prince Puma himself. I refuse to call him anything else. Okay, fine. King Ricochet, I know. But also, when I think of Ricochet, I think of that kid show, Mucha Lucha, where he did where that kid did the pulverizing pinball as his finisher. I kind of want to call his 630 splash the pulverizing pinball now that I think about it, because nostalgia feelings. But who have you got and why? Still there, Nikki?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, no, what were you going to say before I rudely interrupted you?
I'm literally just looking at the card right now. I would love Ricochet to go over. Also, would just love for anyone to dethrone any member of the Undisputed Era right now. Pretty please. I mean, I feel like Ricochet came in with a massive amount of momentum, and I feel like he's proved himself in such a little amount of time. And I mean, he could use this as a stepping stone to the thing that matters, which is the NXT, I guess, the heavyweight title, or the main title.
Yeah, I think I could.
Before Adam Cole gets to it.
Yeah. I am going to go with the upset. I'm going to say Ricochet picks up the victory on this one. Like you said, I think he's proven himself enough. I don't think he needs to prove himself that much more. And I think that this is going to be one of those matches where we slowly start to see Undisputed Era lose their belts, and then they'll probably get a call-up. I think that they're at the point right now where they are good, and they are, honestly, I think, ready for the main roster. Honestly, I would love to see them go to Raw, maybe have a feud with the Revival, because I love wrestling.
Because Revival's got to do something.
Well, that too. But I think that, it's going to be a matter of time before Undisputed Era does get the call-up. I would not have it happen after SummerSlam. I probably would happen maybe at Hell in the Cell. Maybe have that just happen where they just shock the system. Yes, I went there. So
yes, you did.
So I want to ask this before we move on any further. What's with why do you got so much hate on the Undisputed Era? Why do you hate them so much?
Roderick Strong turned on Pete Dunne. He's dead to me forever.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. We have the NXT Women's Championship. Shayna Baszler taking on Kairi Sane, a rematch from the Mae Young Classic that happened last year. Been looking forward to this matchup for so long. God help me. I think this is going to be good. But this is also one of those matches where it is very tough to choose, because on the one hand, you definitely have Shayna Baszler, who has definitely proven herself in the ring. I didn't like her before, but I've definitely seen her work, and she's gotten better and better as time is going on. But at the same time, it's like, I really want Kairi Sane with the NXT Women's Championship. It's just a beautiful sight, but I think...
I feel like Shayna is like a tank. How do you take down a tank? I know Kairi's got a nasty elbow, but, Shayna is a beast.
She really is, and I think she's definitely going to be one of the workhorses, pun majorly intended, especially if they're planning with Survivor Series, at least if the rumors are correct. I think that they are definitely going to be building up to that, and in order for that to happen, I think they're going to have to get Shayna onto the main roster, but I think for right now, I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler over Kairi Sane, because I think that there is a story that they can definitely tell here. And the main story right now is that Kairi Sane, she beat Shayna Baszler in the Mae Young Classic Finals. Shayna Baszler, maybe she can have a backstage interview where she says she's never gotten over that, but tonight is the night that she basically changes all of that, and she rewrites history as the one who beats Kairi Sane, and nobody's going to remember her fluke victory, as she would probably put it. But I don't know. Who do you got for this matchup?
Sorry?
I say, who have you got for this matchup?
Oh, Shayna. Absolutely Shayna.
Shayna, just wreck everybody, and please just don't pop Kairi Sane's, head off, because we love Kairi.
She might. What is it? Tap, nap, or snap?
Something like that. I think it was like an old Daniel Bryan motto that he used to live by when he did NXT. And trust me, we'll probably have a lot to talk about when we get to that matchup between him and The Miz. But we still got the main event slated as the NXT Championship Last Man Standing matchup. It was originally going to be a triple threat match, but unfortunately, Aleister Black got injured. They did a really good job of creating a story where they said... Who done it? Who done it? I will say this, that one of the things that people have definitely been reacting to about this is Cassius Ohno's reaction to it, where he just is asked a question, he has a blank stare for maybe a few seconds, and then he's just I don't know. And so many people are just kind of well, maybe he's the one, maybe he's the guilty one. It's
maybe. Whoever did it is going to be who Aleister feuds with next, is my guess.
More than likely, I could definitely see that. I even remember somebody making a comment. It's Aleister Black is basically doing this injury so he doesn't have to go to the main roster. I'm like, you know what? This would be a way to do it. That would definitely be a way. All right, so we got Mr. Heel Magnet himself, Tommaso Ciampa, taking on Mr. Wrestling, Johnny Gargano. God help me. Oh, man. So many people are thinking like, oh, great, we're getting another Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano matchup. But I'm one of those fans that's like we're getting Gargano versus Ciampa again. I want these guys to fight forever. I don't care if they fight on every single NXT TakeOver main event.
Just from now until the end of time.
Exactly, because it's beautiful. I love
fight
the story. They love the story that they have, and if they can headline a WrestleMania, that'll be like the ultimate, deal for me. Where it's just yes, we're getting one of the best feuds on the biggest stage of them all. And if they do like a WWE style death match, I'm okay with that. But we're getting a last man standing matchup, which is probably just as good. So for this, I am going to go with Ciampa to win. I know that people would love to see Gargano win the title. I think that they're going to build up somebody else to dethrone Ciampa, and more than likely, they'll probably spew the feud over to the main roster. But right now, I just do not see Gargano winning. I think maybe Candice LeRae might get involved and inadvertently cost Gargano the matchup, which I would really hate to see because I love Mrs. Wrestling. I love how she is just... she took Shayna Baszler to her limit, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of want her to dethrone Shayna now, but I think it might be Kyrie. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ciampa for the victory here at TakeOver. Who have you got?
I've got Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa is like the greatest heel of all time, and he is Sicilian. Therefore, I will always stand behind him. I love him. I think that what he's been doing so far since this feud, since DIY broke up, since I almost dropped and broke something in my my apartment because of that, he has played this role in a way that I can't even match it to anything else. And the fact that he comes out with no music and just has people booing him is like the greatest thing ever. Yeah. I would love to see it snap Johnny Gargano in half. And I have at least one friend who's going to get mad at me for saying that, but sorry. Sorry, Matt. My
bad. You live life, you got to have no regrets once in a while, at least. I mean, I think that somehow... well, I don't know if you have, hate for Gargano, probably more than... No, I think Undisputed Era is probably the one where it's just if all three of them basically, get snapped in half, I'd be okay with that. That seems like I'm getting that vibe from you.
Accurate.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm right. All right. So, yeah, TakeOver Brooklyn 4 is going to be happening tomorrow. Probably I'm going to miss out on the main event due to work, and you're going to miss out on that entire thing due to a family obligation.
Oh, wedding. Yeah.
So...
Note to everyone out there, do not get married, do not have baby showers, do not have babies TakeOver weekend. It's rude. Come on.
Oh, man. I mean, it's also one of those things where it's like, Miz, why'd you have to have a baby during WrestleMania weekend? Come on.
You couldn't have waited.
Maurice, hold it at least until the day after WrestleMania. At least.
My God, poor Maurice.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. What are your thoughts on Miz and Mrs. before we go into SummerSlam?
I was actually going to get into that when we get to the pre-show card, because I was looking at the Cruiserweight match, and I was like, I have no freaking idea what's going on that show, because I've been watching Miz and Mrs. and I swore I wouldn't let them get me. I hate Total Divas, I hate Total Bellas, and they, started pitching Miz and Mrs., and I was like, no, I'm not watching this. You can't get me. They got me. Thanks, Miz.
It was one of those shows where it vaguely interested me, and I just kept saw the previews, and I'm just kind of like, okay, this could actually be more entertaining than anything. And as soon as I watched the first episode, I was immediately hooked on it. It's like, oh my god, they actually took a reality show and made it something good and entertaining and actually likable. And
they're made for television, that family. They really are.
Oh my gosh.
Plus, oh my goodness, Monroe Sky is the cutest baby I've ever seen. I can't wait till she's on it all the time.
I think that's more than likely what's going to end up happening, because now at the recent episode...
She can't be pregnant on the show forever.
Right. Oh, man. Well, then that would just be called Ms. and Mrs. And then they just have the title of the next episode just called We're Doing Family Guy. Maurice's Bonnie at this point.
Oh, dear.
All right, so we go into SummerSlam. And we have 3 matches to cover for the pre-show before getting onto the main show. So, first matchup on the card, we'll start off with Rusev and Lana taking on Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. Oh my gosh, just what we need to put a strap on Andrade right now.
Oh my god, it is disrespectful that he is once again on the pre-show. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to have
money.
He's going to have one of the best matches on the show. I mean, a lot of people definitely could downplay Sin Cara versus Andrade Almas. The Tuesday before the show, I watched their matchup and I was literally like, oh my god, this might actually be one of the best matches Andrade's had on the main roster, and probably one of the best Sin Cara's had in a long time.
Yeah.
And then we get to the pre-show one and it's like, it's still good. I mean, the SmackDown one was better, but it's one of those things where it's like, how do you top this? How do you go from, a quality matchup to a pre-show and think, can we deliver an A+ quality matchup? I mean, like I said, it was still good. It was still good, but like I said, okay, so we have Rusev Day versus
Rusev Day and Lana Day.
Rusev Day and Lana Day taking on Tranquilo. Starting with you, Nikki Skywalker, who have you got and why?
Oh, you know who I've got. I've got Andrade. All day, every day. And Zelina. They are, I want to call them a power couple. I don't know if they're a couple or not. But they're unbelievable together. I, live and breathe for Andrade. Seriously.
Yeah, like I said, he's a breath of fresh air. And honestly, one of those things where he keeps wrestling absolutely amazing. I remember a time where he was just one of those guys who was completely irrelevant in NXT. I think I just remember him just being the first feeding guy for Bobby Roode, and
but his gimmick was just Cien, and that was it.
Yeah, and then he started becoming a heel, and he started putting on some good matches, and I was like, I still don't like this guy. But then I saw his matchup with Gargano, and it's like, okay, this guy is going to be a big deal.
And with Zelina as his mouthpiece, oh my god.
Yeah, Austin Aries, you're an idiot. I'm just putting that out right now.
Yes, you are. You would never let her get away. Come on.
I mean, goddamn. When I got the chance to meet her a few years ago, it was one of those things where it's like, God, she is absolutely amazing. I cannot think of why anybody would ever want to leave her. But I think that was also when her and Aries were still a thing. But I'm going to agree with you and say Andrade and Vega win this one. I think it's pretty obvious that Mr. Aiden English is going to get involved. Maybe it's going to turn into a deal where maybe Andrade tries to get with, Almas and Vega. I don't know. I think that would actually be kind of interesting where we see Aiden English try to attempt. Aiden English just tries to sing Spanish, something in Spanish, and
I mean, he can try. Let's see it.
I mean, God, somehow Aiden English doing Rusev Day was one of the things that was the best thing that WWE could do, and they're just killing that right now. It's like, I don't want this to end because I think Aiden English and Rusev are the best right now. And then when he just came out and just started supporting Lana, just doing the whole, Lana is the best, Lana's number one.
Lana number one.
I'm just like, I can't hate this guy. Why are you doing this to me? I never thought that he would be more over without Simon Gotch than he is right now. Just, God, as soon as Simon Gotch got released, I'm like, well, English is going to be gone in a bit.
Yeah,
and then
I kind of figured that's what was going to happen.
But honestly, he's somehow still over. But speaking of over, let's talk about probably one of the most over tag teams in all of Raw. Great transition, I know. We have the B team defending their Raw tag team titles against the Revival. Also, I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. I hate the new B team theme music because
everyone does. It's terrible.
When they had their original theme music, I listened to it. I'm like, this kind of has a feel like classic Broken Brilliance kind of feel to it, where they had like the guitar thing that starts it off, and then they go into like the These Battles Scott, and it's like, okay,
it had enough angst. There's no angst in this new one.
All it is just basically, hey, notice us. Hey, you're at a sporting event. Cheer for us. It's like, no. Just no.
Oh boy. I think it's saying poor network connection. Is that on me or you?
Oh, I think, well, it's weird because I think this is one of the first few times that Skype has actually been pretty good to me, so, because every other time it's been, hey, poor connection. I think you'll definitely notice that in the interview I had with Dave last night, where sometimes he just, where he would just sometimes, like, fade or he would just stop, but this time around it seemed like it was good. But
alright, it's good now. You got a little jumpy. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, well, I guess that's what happens when we talk badly about the B team, but...
My bad.
my total B. I had to throw the pun in there. So for this one, it's one of those things where it felt like they just threw it on there because of the fact that of what happened with the three-way matchup. But I'm going to go with the Revival on this one. I think that they should just have Revival pull an upset, maybe have a little bit of a mini feud between Revival and B Team, and honestly have Revival hold the belts forever until eventually maybe we get a WrestleMania matchup between Revival and the Undisputed Era. I think that would be absolutely amazing. And I think that they are the team that Raw needs right now to just represent the tag team division proudly. And who knows, if they're going to do like the same thing they did with Survivor Series like they did last year, I think they need to have Revival as the top tier team on Raw. But I don't know. So
I mean, if they're not going to let them win at this point, what are they doing with them?
Yeah, that's
seriously.
that is accurate. So who have you got?
I mean, I really like the B team, but I would like to see the Revival win something. Do anything besides just be on pre-shows or just never be on TV.
No, I definitely do agree with you. Like I said, I'm hoping that we get a revival of the team, and hopefully we get a revival of the Raw Tag Team titles, because, you know, the B team winning, that was a good nostalgic moment, but now it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, can we get to a little bit more of a serious thing? I think that they could still have B team.
I am losing you again.
Oh. I think that they could have B team still be like a nostalgic team, but I just think that I think we need to get Revival in the Raw Tag Team contention and give them the belts. Hashtag Revival Forever. Hashtag stop saying F the Revival.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to swear on your podcast. I've been dying to say it.
You know what? I'm going to give you full permission for the next 5 seconds. Ready and go.
All right. Fuck the Revival.
There we go. All right. Somebody had to finally say it, so because why not? All right. So next matchup on the card. Well, let's see here. Do I want to just get rid of the painfully obvious ones, or do I want to just get right into some of the good ones? You know what? I'm going to just get right into the painfully obvious one, and I'm just going to end on the one that I think should be the main event. So we'll start it off with the quote-unquote main event for SummerSlam, that being Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship.
The most irrelevant title on Raw.
And probably...
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
And probably at this point the most stale, and I'm saying that as a metaphorical and literal standpoint, because that fruit roll-up is probably just absolutely nasty by now. So... just Roman, take the belt off. Just take the belt off him, please. If we have a cash-in deal, I'm okay with that, but as long as the words out of JoJo's mouth is not, and still Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, then I'm okay with whatever they do. Just give Roman the belt, and honestly, if they end up...
at this point, please just give it to him. I don't care.
At least Roman Reigns can make it relevant. And people might say, no, it's going to be a step back. No, it's not. Anything other than Brock Lesnar is a step forward, and that includes Roman Reigns.
Yup.
So we're both in agreement on Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so next matchup on the card, let's talk about the TGI Friday matchup, because that's the only... because that's the only way we can basically describe this matchup. That is indeed Finn Balor taking on Baron Corbin, Constable Baron Corbin. My apologies.
Why is it the TGI Friday match?
Because Constable Baron Corbin looks like he works at TGI Fridays. So
he does kind of look like he works at TGI Fridays. Okay.
So I mean, that's not the stipulation for this, but it might as well be. And God help me, I am hoping that we get the Demon for. God, I want the Demon to show up, and I know people are going to be like, but that's going to be an automatic win. I don't care. I want to see Demon Balor back. I miss that. He had a great matchup with AJ, and even if it's one of those things where, like I said, it's one-sided, I don't care. As long as I get my Demon Balor at SummerSlam, I'm okay with this.
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to see Finn win anything at all, ever.
I think that we would like Finn to win all the time. And I mean, let's face it, a few years ago, Finn Balor was the Universal Champion until he basically decided, oh God, here goes my shoulder. Let me just pop it back in.
Oh my God. No one's more metal than Finn Balor. I'm sorry, if I dislocated my shoulder on TV, you would not catch me trying to pop that thing back in. I'd be on the floor like screaming.
Or would it be kind of like where Randy Orton just like did that deal where he was pounding on the ground and then next thing you know his arm just goes limp? It's just one of those things like, I'm just going to continue the matchup with a limp arm, whatever. Even if we do like a double count out, whatever. It's just one of those things where I saw that, I'm like, how do you manage that, Orton? Oh, well, I was just saying, like, how does Orton manage to do that deal where he's just pounding on the ground and then his arm just says, you know what, I'm going to fall asleep right now. Just, how do you manage that? Again, wrestling is weird, so.
Yes, it is.
Alright, so I think, are we both in agreement with Balor winning?
Finn Balor forever.
Finn Balor forever. Balor Club forever. Too sweet. Next matchup, I guess we'll do the Raw Women's Championship matchup. We have Alexa Bliss taking on Ronda Rousey, a.k.a. definitely can see a bat a mile away. God help me, that Raw video was absolutely hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, oh wow, there's literally a bat that just came from the Raptors. And the fact that she was able to keep a stone cold face while mentioning, hey, there's a bat, was awesome. But, alright, so, do you have, so who do you got? Do you got Bliss or Rousey winning this one?
I've got Rousey. I'm sorry. Without some kind of shenanigans, I don't see Alexa Bliss beating her. Isn't she the baddest woman on the planet?
She is, and she is basically the female incarnate of Stone Cold Steve Austin somehow. I mean, except for the fact that Stone Cold never really necessarily broke a bone on Vince McMahon, at least not to my knowledge, but let's face it,
Get him on the phone, let's ask him.
Fair enough. But, you know, Ronda has basically taken out Stephanie McMahon twice, and now Stephanie just has the installment of fear put in her at the sight of Ronda Rousey. And Ronda has just been doing absolutely amazing since coming to Monday Night Raw. And
oh, definitely. She's been improving, I feel like, every single week. She's just getting better and better. And this is coming from someone who didn't want her to come up in the first place. Like, she won me over.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I thought the WrestleMania matchup, at first I was like, oh, this is going on too long, I don't want this. But then now watching back at it, it's like, wow, she was actually really, really good. And when she does that twisting Samoan drop, I literally think that it's one of the most brutal things that anybody can take. I know, I think Magnus did that for a few years, and it was just like, God, that's so lame. But when Ronda does it, it's like, oh God, that woman is dead. She's dead. So, both in agreement, Ronda Rousey, because, yeah. Next matchup on the card, we got the one and only Yes Move It taking on the It Factor. This is Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. We're finally getting this matchup.
I think I lost you entirely.
Oh, hold on. I was saying we get Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, and I kind of had a little moment where I'm just internally screaming at that. Oh, hold on. I think we might have to check out something quick. Might have a connection issue. Let's see here. So, Nikki, can you hear me now? Let me see here.
Okay.
Alright, so technical difficulties aside, I think we finally got it figured out. At least hopefully. So, alright. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. We've been talking about this at least for the last...
For how many years?
Yeah. Even when we had the whole Talking Smack deal with Daniel Bryan, that was where people are just like, we need to see this again. We need to see this again. WWE's like, no, we don't know. I mean, we don't want Daniel Bryan to get hurt. It's like, well, Daniel Bryan is getting okays from doctors. Just stop it. It's been a few years. I think he's going to be fine. And ever since he came back to the ring, he's definitely worked on his in-ring deal. I think a lot of people are thankful that he doesn't do the flying headbutt anymore, because that was probably one of the reasons.
Very thankful for that.
Because I'm sure everybody was just going to be cringing anytime he tries to do that move.
I cringe anytime he does anything near hitting his head, hitting his neck. I'm like, oh, God, no. Please, no.
It's going to be one of those things where it's like, I'm hoping that if he gets hit by the skull-crushing finale, it's not one of those things where we're just like, no, just, please, Brian, just get up. Okay, thank God.
Okay, he's fine.
Yeah. Alright, so, for this one, gosh. Why must you make me choose WWE? These guys are really good.
It's Sophie's choice.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with a safe bet and say The Miz is going to pick up the victory here. I think that there's more to the story here. Somebody actually mentioned this, that if Daniel Bryan picks up the victory here, it feels like that would just end the story completely. But if Miz picks up the victory here, there's more of a story to tell. So I'm going to just go with the safe bet and just say The Miz picks up the victory. Whether it's via shenanigans or not, who cares?
I'm Team Miz here also. But I'll always be Team Miz.
Alright, so next matchup we got out here is for the WWE United States Championship. It is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy.
Will it end via low blow? Who knows?
at this point, I could see that, but as long as it doesn't end on a dirty handshake, then thank God. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, be sure to check out the episode where I talked with Dave about it, because that'll explain a lot. So, this is another one of those matches I'm kind of really scared for because of the fact of Jeff Hardy not being at 100%. You definitely could tell he's in a lot of pain, and right now it's another one. It's another one of those things where I think you got to go with the safe bet. I'm taking Nakamura.
Probably. And my guess here is that Randy Orton is going to come out and do some kind of something. I'm just saying.
Maybe give Jeff Hardy a dirty handshake? I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's the deciding... Oh, gosh. That's going to be one of those deciding factors. He's literally just going to come out, hands in his shorts, and then he's just going to basically be like, hey, Jeff, goes for a handshake, and then Jeff's going to be like, dude, I know where your hand's been. Low blow, Kinshasa... 1, 2, 3, and then Randy Orton's just like, you think you're better than me? RKO. Why does that sound...
Out of nowhere.
Why does that sound stupidly accurate, like something WWE would do?
You better write that down, because I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen.
I don't want to, because I don't want this to be a thing. I want this to be as far away from a thing.
It's too late, you put it in the universe.
God damn it. Fuck.
No swearing on the podcast.
Oh, you've been on the King of the Ring podcast. You probably had your fair share of swearing, so...
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Next matchup that we'll talk about is the triple threat match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Carmella defending against Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair, the Diva, taking on the best wrestlers on the SmackDown roster other than Asuka. Also, hashtag where is Asuka. I'll let you take the reins on this one. Who have you got and why?
Honestly, anyone but Carmella. I'd like to see Becky win again. I'd like to see her be relevant. I'd like to see her winning things instead of... I feel like she's like the Finn Balor of SmackDown Live. I'm still a little confused as to why they added Charlotte to it. And I'm a huge Charlotte Flair mark. I love her. She's probably my favorite women's wrestler of all time. But I really think it's Becky's time again. Like, I really do. And if it's not her who goes over, I feel like this is going to be the start of some kind of rivalry between her and Charlotte. And then Carmella can go back to learning what someone from Staten Island actually sounds like.
Harsh but fair. Very, very, very harsh, but also very fair and very true. So I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm going to go with Carmella on this one, mainly because I think that they're going to. I know it. I'm dying a little bit on the inside just saying that. Trust me, when I thought, hey, we're going to get Asuka versus Carmella, it's like I want Asuka to win so badly, and then I had to witness the fact that they had James Ellsworth come back.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. I literally, when that happened, I almost turned my TV off. I'm sorry. That was some fuck shit. That's what that was.
It was funny because when I was there for Money in the Bank, I just remember people just saying like, "Oh, it's Ellsworth, it's Ellsworth." I said to my friend, "If that is Ellsworth underneath that, and he costs Asuka, I am walking out of here." And he's like, "Oh no, you're not." He was one of those things where.
Did you?
Almost. I was like, I was halfway down the steps when he stopped me. I was like, dude, it's totally fine, it's totally fine. And then after that moment, I realized, okay, just give me a minute. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to get some water. I just need something to get away from this bullshit that I had to endure. And that was...
Yep, I was infuriated.
There was a point in me where I just wanted to punch a wall. I was so mad. That was one of the first few times where I was like over the edge, like I'm done. I am so done with this. But thankfully, we had the rest of the match. I think it was followed up by, Nakamura versus Styles, which I really loved. And it was like, okay, this kind of redeems it, but the fact that I still have to remember James Ellsworth's face is stupid. I'm not gonna lie. All right, but yeah, with I got my prediction in. I'm not going to say her name again because let's face it, a lot of people are dying inside just by saying that name. All right, let's go to the next matchup, which is for the Money in the Bank contract. Braun Strowman. In the Bank contract. Yep, Monster in the Bank contract. My apologies. Braun Strowman taking on Kevin Owens. And it even says right here, if Strowman loses by any means, he will lose the contract. Why are you making me choose again? And why is it at the expense of Kevin Owens? I'm going with Braun.
I'm going with Braun too. And my God, if we don't at least see a cash in, like I'm sorry, if Brock wins, if I don't see a cash in, I might throw something. I might.
I can honestly see you just being like a whirlwind of anger just swirling, and I'll just be like, I need to check in the news in New York just to see what's going on right now. There's
you will hear me. I am pretty loud.
Oh, basically every single window has been shattered. Oh, wow. I'll just be contacting all the people I know in New York. It's like, are you guys okay? And just Rick and King Ricky, I'll just be like, other than my ears being basically shot, I'm totally fine. It's like yeah. It's like I understand why. I understand why, dude. It's sort of okay, but at the same time, Brock's still champ. God fucking hell. All right.
I don't want to live in the world.
Anyway. I don't want to live on a Raw where Brock is still somehow champion. But let's just hope for the best. Honestly, I would even love if they did a deal where Roman won the title, Braun came out, and he just teases a cash-in, but he just beats the ever-living crap out of Roman, and he just teases the idea where he's like, I've already beaten him. I'm just going to let this linger on a little while longer. And he'll just even be like, maybe I'll cash it in on an ambulance match. I'll be like, dude, that'd be awesome. Let's have a rematch from Great Balls of Fire, which was actually really good, and the result was
Great Balls of Fire. I forgot about that.
The big fiery penis. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, that's what that show was. But somehow, a big fiery penis was one of the best shows of that year. Why?
Somehow.
It God help me. Speaking of God help me, the Intercontinental Championship matchup, we have Dolph Ziggler defending against Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre and Dean Ambrose will be at ringside. This will be. It's a lot of people are
with his new haircut.
Where basically he takes classes from CrossFit Jesus. Literally, when I saw him, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's got haircut.
Looking real jacked, baby. Looking real jacked.
I already made the prediction that Dean Ambrose is going to hit a Hurricane Rana. I guarantee it. One of these days, he's going to do it.
I'm into that.
That would be just beautiful. That would be one of those things where I'll be like, yes! And I actually had a friend of mine the other day who remember her as during his Jon Moxley days, and that was, I think, one of his finishers, and I'll just be the one person that's going to be tagging anybody that has mentioned the name Jon Moxley. I'll be like, dude, he's doing a Jon Moxley! We are getting what we needed! We're getting this in WWE! Everybody just mark the freak out!
I miss Jon Moxley.
I think you might get him in the forthcoming months. I think that's all but a guarantee right now. So, for this one, I think it's another one of those deals where it's pretty obvious where they're going to go. As much as I would love to see Rollins with the Intercontinental title again, I think it's going to be sticking on Ziggles, a.k.a. somehow shut. Well, I mean, Mr. Ziggy or whatever John Morrison used to call him. I forgot what it was. It's like, it was Ziggles. That's right. It's like, hey, it's Mr. Ziggles. Like, oh god, that's too funny. That is too funny. And now Johnny Moon.
It's going to be a great match, regardless of who wins it. I'm honestly 50-50 on the fence here.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know who they're trying to get over here.
You know, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's obvious that Dean Ambrose is going to turn on Seth Rollins. I'm like,
I don't know if he'll turn on him yet. I would love for him to turn on him soon, because some of us are still mad about the whole Shield thing.
Well, I mean, not to say any names, but I think there's one person here that's a little cross, and yes, it is somebody by the name of Nikki, but yeah.
Also very cross that I didn't get my Shield reunion. That's right, Ricky. I'm bringing it up again.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's obvious going to go with Ziggler on this one, just because I think they're going to build up Ziggler versus McIntyre. And like I said, it's going to be a situation where everybody's just going to just relish at the fact that we're going to see this matchup between the two of them, and Drew McIntyre is just going to claymore the head off of Dolph Ziggler, and it's going to be the most beautiful thing ever. I'm sorry, but it really is. I can't think of anybody more that's going to deserve that claymore more than Dolph Ziggler. Man. It's still stuck in my head, and it's still beautiful. I just see like this long-haired ball just floating into the crowd, and somebody's just like, "Oh my gosh, I got a souvenir!" And then Drew McIntyre's just standing over Ziggler's headless body with the Intercontinental title.
It's got dark.
It got dark, but it got me out of that. Are
we talking about WWE or CZW? I don't know.
I might have had a Lucha Underground flashback in my head, but. You know. Where were you again? Oh, right. SummerSlam. SummerSlam. So we have the SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the line. The Bludgeon Brothers, or as my friend Val likes to call them, the Bumbling Bearded Brothers, taking on the New Day.
The New Day.
New Day. Hashtag Team Pancakes, but I am more hashtag Team Waffles. I'm sorry. That's one thing I will always say because...
as long as you drown that shit in Canadian maple syrup, I don't care. Give me either or.
Fair enough. But I also know that there's a certain King of the Ring that also just hates the fact that I keep saying Team Waffles, so... This one's for you, King Ricky. Alright. So... Do you got the Bumbling Bearded Bros or the...
I'm going to have to say yes. I feel like they're on a path of destruction right now. As much as I would love to see the New Day be champions again, I don't think that they need that momentum as much as the Bludgeon Brothers do right now.
I think it's one of those things where they almost painted themselves in a corner right now, where they are taking one of the most over tag teams, and they're putting it against one of the... not so much over tag teams. I mean, let's face it. And there's a lot of people that are getting sick and tired of Bludgeon Brothers, but it's still one of those things where it's like...
they do have a great song, though.
Okay, I will admit that theme song is actually pretty cool. It is better than the, what it was, like the generic deal where the thing that Luke Harper had for a while. I mean, it was good for a time, but then there comes a point where it's like, this is just this is just weird. Why are we getting this? But I'm in agreement with you that it's going to be the Bludgeon Brothers. I think that those titles are going to come off and be put on either Sanity or the Bar because, let's face it, Sanity definitely deserves a big victory. I think that'd be... I mean, they won the damn tag team titles from the Authors of Pain. What more do I need to say about Sanity? And then you have the Bar, and they're just... Let's face it, they're not the Bar. They're not, they're not below the Bar. They are the Bar.
They don't just set that bar, all right?
There we go. That was what I was going for, but I got, again, I think I had another Lucha Underground flashback in my head. Oh, that's right, because Bludgeon Brothers need to use the hammers.
Oh my God.
Damn it. I want to see a deal.
Murder everyone.
I want to see a deal where it's insinuated that the Bludgeon Brothers literally just kill someone with a hammer. Come on, just give us maybe like a small taste of Lucha Underground action. Just a tiny bit. And SmackDown, you will be my forever brand, like, for an eternity, even beyond that. I will literally get a custom-made SmackDown is the best show of all time t-shirt.
SmackDown #1.
That'll be on the back. Hashtag SmackDown #1. All right, now we get on to what I think should be the main event, but I know they're going to just not put this as the main event, even though it deserves it to be. And it's the matchup for the TNA World Championship. I mean the WWE Championship. I'm sorry. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. Yes, I went there, and I have no...
see what you did there.
Oh my gosh, this matchup. I love the build-up. I love the fact that Samoa Joe is just being a complete and total dick here. AJ Styles trying to be the clean-cut babyface. Oh, this match.
Roasted his promo the other night, too. My God.
And, did you see the WWE.com exclusive they had where AJ Styles is being held back by security and Joe's just like, yeah, I could hit you, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep taunting you. I'm just going to keep verbally harassing you. Just because I can, because I'm Samoa Joe.
Oh, man. This is a great feud. I'm here for it.
Oh, my gosh. And we know it's going to continue on till Hell in the Cell because somebody decided, hey, we're going to reveal this poster. It's like,
oh, man. I didn't know that. Why'd you tell me that?
Well, it was on... I know. I apologize to you, Miss Skywalker. But it was one of those things that one of the arena, I think, accidentally leaked. I think they said, oh, main event's going to be Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE title. It's like...
Well, we know who's winning then. Oh, well.
Well, I mean, you never know. They have that whole deal where it's like, oh, cards subject to change. I'm like, really?
Cards subject to change.
Change in WWE. Ha 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 ha. Don't make me laugh as I put on my monocle. This show is going off the rails. I already can tell, but
it's not even my fault.
This is very true. But this is how I do work. This is how I change the game. All right, so AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. Regardless of I knowing that whole deal where it seemed like it's a spoiler, but it's quote unquote not a spoiler. I said this before. I want this to be a deal where Samoa Joe just dominates AJ Styles. Literally, does his Uranagi slam.
Like for the whole match?
Yeah, like him just being very dominant. And AJ Styles just barely gets the victory out. Maybe it's a deal like with Joe and Balor where, he gets locked in the coquina clutch and AJ does that deal where he bounces off the turnbuckles and does a pinning predicament there. I'm okay with that because A, it's AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. B, these guys are really good. C, it's AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. And D, did I mention this is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe? Because
so wait, what is this match? This is AJ Styles versus who?
Versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, okay.
So that one guy who basically should have been Universal Champion by now, but they decided not to put it on him. That guy who literally just killed Brock Lesnar at the Fiery Penis event, and
stop with this Fiery Penis shit.
All right, I'm done. Wait, Fiery Penis. Okay, now I'm done. I had one more in me. But yeah, I think that AJ Styles is going to retain, and I think that this is going to be a feud that, again, boils over to Hell in the Cell. Honestly, if these guys main event events for the rest of the year, I'd be okay with that, because I know there would be something different to it, and it just wouldn't be it would be hard for me to watch, like, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, which is why I kicked off with that match, WWE. If you do that, it's the saving grace for WWE. It's literally like, this opening contest is for the Universal Championship. Like, oh my God, you're basically saving your entire fan nation just by doing that.
Please God. I mean, unless you want to add Pete Dunne to that match, WWE, that's totally fine too.
Pete Dunne, he just walks around with the Universal title, UK title, and he's just like, you know what? I'm going to defend this around the world. And it's like, well, be sure to show up for Monday Night Raw. I'll show up whenever I want to show up. Be like, okay then.
Listen, he has stuff he has to read backstage, okay?
This is true. This is very true. No, I was talking like Pete Dunne. Like, he'll show up to Raw whenever he wants to show up.
Sorry.
No, Brock Lesnar can, of course, read whatever he wants until his contract expires, which I hope is like tomorrow. Yeah. But, yeah, he's still got this one contractual deal where it's like, hey, I got to defend the title at SummerSlam. And people are saying, well, he might have the title until WrestleMania. Don't say that. If that literally happens, God help me, I will say that Bruno Sammartino is rolling in his grave right now. Thinking, why?
Dear, we don't want that.
No.
Sorry, Bruno.
Sorry, that got a little dark again, but then again, also, I blame Lucha Underground because that's where a lot of this darkness comes from. It's like...
Oh my God. Have you been watching this season? Because I don't get that channel either.
I had to...
That's funny, I pay for cable. I don't get any of the effing wrestling channels.
Oh, one of the things that really set us off, I'm actually surprised I didn't mention this when I had Dave on the other day, was we had Sling TV, and it had Lucha Underground for...
I lived in the city.
And, yeah, it was... And for a long time, it was like, that's my go-to thing. Hey, Sling TV, Lucha Underground. Yes, totally okay with this. And then they just decide, and then I think it was like Activision or Univision or something like that. They just said, yeah, we're not doing it through Sling TV anymore. It's like, God damn it. Why?
Are they not El Rey anymore either?
What's that?
Are they still on El Rey? I remember hearing something about they didn't want them on that channel anymore.
Oh, no, they're still on El Rey Network.
Okay.
And they are still doing really good stuff right now.
Gosh, don't tell me.
I will say nothing.
I swear to God, I'll come right to Wisconsin. Tell me to it.
Well, you've already threatened to steal my United Kingdom Championship, so...
Oh, yeah, anyone who has one, by the way, I will steal it.
Well, it's going to be one of those situations where I know that there's a lot of people that have been definitely saying, oh, you got to come to WrestleMania, you got to come to WrestleMania this upcoming year. And it's like, gosh, I want to. And at the same time, I want to bring the UK title just in case I do see Nikki Skywalker.
You will not catch my ass anywhere near East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Okay. But if you see the UK title, you might make an exception.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
It's
the worst arena that you could have chosen. The Meadowlands. I'm sorry.
Well, no,
I know they've done it before, blah, 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 but no. For me, that is wildly inconvenient.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so with that is going to end our predictions for SummerSlam as well as NXT TakeOver. Going to be airing live on the WWE Network this upcoming weekend, you guys.
$9.99 a month.
Oh, $9.99. God, I remember when that was a jingle, and I literally think to myself, why must you torture us with this? And oh, it even got better when the Authority just did it for like a cheap pop. It's like, oh, you could watch it on the WWE Network for the low price of $9.99. It's like, shut up. Just shut up. We don't care if you're trying to be a face. You are heels. You don't try that kind of deal. Leave the cheap pops to John Cena right now because he is this generation's Mick Foley at this point. I'm sorry.
Not for nothing. While we're at it, I kind of felt that way about them announcing the all-women's pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
It's like, wait, aren't you supposed to be bad guys?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Stephanie McMahon. She's one of the patriarchs. She's one of the pioneers of the women's division, apparently, in WWE. It's like, no. She was... Okay, as an authority figure, yes, she was definitely one of the pioneers for the women's division. But as a wrestler, no. There's at least a legion of women that definitely succeed you. I mean, some people might... Although I will say that Eva Marie is definitely way behind Stephanie McMahon. And that's... definitely saying a lot. But it's one of those few times where I feel bad because it's like, I don't have a problem with redheads. I really don't. But this is the one redhead where it's just like...
off the rails. We are so far off the rails.
I don't care at this point. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't have a problem with them. It's just this one redhead I do not really like that much. But, again, The fact that they had to make it, Stephanie McMahon, if they would have done with, I think that somebody would have, honestly, if they would have done it with, like, Triple H, I think it would have been okay, because a lot of people would have remembered probably that moment where Triple H was giving flowers and hugging Bayley and Sasha back at NXT TakeOver Respect. Honestly, guys, watch that Iron Man match. It was amazing. But I don't know. I think it was just one of those things where it's like, well, a woman has to announce it because it's an all-woman pay-per-view. Did you really have to live on that stereotype? I'm sorry, but you didn't have to live on that. It just, again, like you said, you're supposed to be a heel, and you're making a babyface announcement. You could do that every so often. Yeah, but they're doing it way too consistently. It's getting annoying now. It's like, you can't take them seriously as heels anymore.
That said, I will probably be at that pay-per-view. Or so King Ricky tells me.
Well, at least it's not in New Jersey. It's just going to be in Long Island, right?
On Long Island, yes.
There we go.
I could walk there if I felt like it.
I feel like
Take me a long time, but I could.
I feel like if you just take one step in Long Island, you'll miss Long Island completely. But
oh my God, stop! It is a long island. It will take you forever.
Oh man, I didn't realize it was a literal deal. I always thought that Long Island was just a name that they just came up with. But okay,
no, are you kidding me?
I didn't know it was literal. I didn't think that Long Island was actually a Long Island.
Oh God. Don't make me come over there, I swear to God.
Oh, man. I feel like you've said that to a couple of podcasters in the past, but you get to see this here.
I say that to, like, everyone on a daily basis.
Okay, fair enough. So, it's the first time you said it on the Game Changer, and honestly,
it won't be the last.
It definitely will not be. So, thank you, Nikki Skywalker, for being a part of this, for taking time out to, be a part of this show and be a part of SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver predictions. Sorry you have to miss out on tomorrow. And I'm saying that with the most sincerity. There's not a hint of sarcasm in my tone of voice. I know
maybe he'll sit at the table at the wedding with the network on. I'm not a
It's just gonna be you with like one earpiece in there, and you're watching the network. And then there's going to just be like the whole like glass chiming deal where everybody's going to want the Bride and Grim to kiss, and you're just going to be like, oh, ding, 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 ding. It's just be like that. And then
see here. Move along.
And then it's just going to be like, whatever. They're doing like the toast and stuff like that, and they'll probably mention your name. You'll just be like, what? Oh, right.
Right.
Just you have a speech in one hand.
The wedding is scheduled for 1
Yeah, you have like the speech in one hand and the WWE Network in the other hand, and everybody's all confused. Like, why does she have like two things? She's like multitasking. And it's just like in the middle of it. It's like, no, Adam Cole, you suck. What?
Accurate. Just start screaming that Roderick Strong's the paper champion.
Yes, Roderick Strong is crying. I get my wish. Oh my gosh. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Game Changer, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely one of the most unpredictable episodes you'll ever listen to, and I'm proud of it.
Sorry.
So, hey, I'm not. Like I said, I couldn't think of anybody better to do this prediction show with. So thank you so much again for being a part of it, and definitely, hopefully, and I think it's definitely one of those things that's inevitable. We're going to have you back on the show sometime.
You got it.
All right, so for Nikki Skywalker, I've been Nate the Effing Great. I should definitely mention this, because I always do this, and I should not make this an exception to you. Where can people find you on social media, or how can they get in contact with you and let them know about your...
On Twitter, at Nikki_Skywalker, Nikki, N-I-K-K-I.
All right, sweet. And guys, you know how to follow me on Twitter. You know how to give us a like on our Facebook fan page. So, happy SummerSlam weekend. And also, let's hope to God that Brock Lesnar loses. So thank you guys so much.
Here.
And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Woo, woo.